back. All right, another episode of Powerhouse Conversations. We have episode 19, season 2. We took a little break for the summer, so we're back. We have some wealth conversations coming in. This time we have, Wilbert Hamilton from Hamilton Wealth Advisors. We'll go a little bit deeper into his background, but we're gonna let some people get on and let's send this out. Everybody send it. Entrepreneurs. What's up? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. We'll let people get in, but no, wanted to definitely thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time. We definitely gonna have a good conversation. Love what you've been doing with your podcast and with your business. So we definitely introduce everything that you've done, everything that you've accomplished, and go over some of that. But to those who don't know, we have Wilbert Hamilton on from Hamilton Wealth Advisors. He has the only Black-owned investment firm in Alabama, registered investment firm in Alabama. He's a Montgomery, Alabama native, so that's the home team. So definitely we're gonna talk about that and the Gump and everything else. So we definitely gonna have that conversation, and we want to talk about how you got into the wealth game, and how you got into financial advisement. So we definitely want to give you the opportunity to talk about that, but I want to make sure I catch people up to what Powerhouse Conversations is about. I bring on dope entrepreneurs and have dope conversations. I make sure that the conversations that I typically am having, like just with any of my friends, I want to make sure that those types of conversations are being exposed and had to everybody else, to let people know that these are conversations that you can have, and it doesn't just have to be about sports. It doesn't have to be about rap. It doesn't have to be about the normal things that people talk about. You can definitely have things that are going to help you grow as a man, as a woman, whatever it may be, and most importantly as an entrepreneur. So our goal at Powerhouse Conversations is to inspire innovation. So definitely want to have that. So give people your background and introduce yourself. Let them know who you are.
Well, like I said, my name is Wilbert Hamilton. It's definitely a pleasure to be on. Definitely have seen some of the past episodes with guys like my guy Sydney and, of course, Rashad, doing great things down in the Gump. So, like I said, I'm born and raised right there in Montgomery, Alabama. Graduated from Lanier High School. Played a little bit of ball back in the day, so I, like to consider myself a former athlete. But
right.
Now professional financial advisor by trade. I mean, it's just one of those things that I literally kind of fell into on accident. Didn't necessarily, strive to be a financial advisor, because I'd never met a Black financial advisor before until I became one. So I tell people, I'm literally kind of on God's path, for myself, and my plan, like a lot of athletes coming out of the Gump, I wanted to, hopefully have a chance playing in the NFL, and dream ended, before I was ready for it too, and it just kind of, honestly. Actually, my father being, former coach at Jefferson High School basketball coach, so that's kind of where everybody kind of know me from.
The great,
Coach Hampton, so. But actually, one of his former players, actually Eric Chappelle, played for him for a year before he went to Carver, and he was working at Mutual of my insurance company at the time. But I had just hurt my knee. I was back home trying to rehab, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with myself, and I had my degree. I had, I was always one of those kids. I was always pretty good with numbers, pretty good student and whatnot. So. My mom had always told me nobody's gonna take care of your money like you. So when I was in school, my plan was, okay, hopefully if I can make it to the league, play a couple years, I figured, I was gonna manage my own money. So that was kind of my plan and my goal in my mind. So I majored in economics and finance in school. So, hopefully I was going to try to use that and put that in the practice for myself. I had no intentions of helping anybody else, but lo and behold, I actually got a chance to go to a camp. Came down on my knee wrong, and next thing you know, I'm back at home trying to figure it out. And luckily my dad bumped into E. Chappelle and asked him, said, "Man, that's what your son doing, and I got something that may be beneficial for him. Come check it out." And after that, man, the rest is history. I mean, I just kind of fell into it, and God placed the calling on my heart and said, "Look, I want to teach people how to create generational wealth." And that's something that's obviously lacking in missing our community. Obviously, you playing a part in that, with Powerhouse, as far as having those conversations. I won't say not difficult conversations, but somewhat uncomfortable because of things we never talked about. So we're used to talking about the sports and things of that nature, but really self-help, self-improvement, finance, those are things kind of taboo topics, in our community. So we don't like, talking about money outside of the house or really even inside the house. My father never talked to me about investing. It was all, hey, man, save your money. He came up in Tulane Coast. And he was like, look, man, hey, save your money, go to work, save, pray for a better day and just keep it moving. But, I want a little bit more for myself, and, God just placed the passion in me to kind of keep moving.
Yep. And so you talked about that from the athlete's perspective, right? So tell me a little bit more about, when you were an athlete and going through school, because you said you did finance in college. So that had to be tough, just to balance that and being an athlete. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy to see because, like I said, of course, most athletes when you're in college, they usually have a tutor for everything.
Right.
Most guys have tutors, but unfortunately, I was in the School of Business, and I still was one of the team I think I had that was actually in the School of Business. And I originally went to school thinking I was going to be an engineer. And I ended up, kind of playing as a true freshman. I quickly realized that this ain't gonna work. I ain't got no time in the day to study and try to be an engineer. So I switched to business because, like I said, I always like numbers. I always like math. I was obviously wanting to know more about money. So I kind of just fell in that direction because I figured it was something I would actually have time to. But the crazy part about it is that they had no tutors, for that. So I literally had to engulf myself at the School of Business. So when other teammates I had would be going to the student athlete center, I literally had to go to the student center.
Right.
If I want to get some help, trying to figure out how to, pass my classes and make sure I stay on top of things. So, but it gave me an opportunity to kind of interact with the normal students. So I was in class, I'm coming freshman football practice, and I got sweats on and, cut off t-shirt, and I'm in class with kids that are coming back from internships from Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo. I'm like, wow, I'm behind, So unfortunately for most athletes, I mean, if you don't make it to the NFL, I mean, I don't say college is a waste, but it can be very wasteful if you're not, if you don't have the proper instruction, if you don't have the right mentors, if you don't have the right people around you, kind of showing you what you should be doing.
Right.
Because I was a kid that considered myself, pretty good student. I graduated in 4 years. Walked in, August of 2000, walked out across the stage December 2004. But I graduated, had never done an internship, didn't have a resume. So I didn't know which way to turn, and I had a degree, so it's like, but what good is a degree if you don't know how to use it?
Correct.
So unfortunately, that's all too often for a lot of athletes. We kind of, of course, I had my mindset thinking that I'm gonna get a chance for NFL, and I thought that dream was going, kind of come to fruition. But like a lot of people, things happen, life happens, and it just wasn't meant to be. And you got to figure out, okay, what's next?
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of athletes in my position don't really ever get the chance to figure out what's next because they're either chasing a dream that's not going to come true, or hanging on it, and the next thing you know, you're almost 30, you're still tracing, trying to play arena ball and do things. So you wasted a lot of time. So from a life standpoint, we really end up behind. So when it's time to, for me to get a job, it's like, really, I'm starting back at square one because I have no experience. I have really no skill set because, my degree really does not help me do my job.
Right.
It's crazy as it sounds.
Right.
You think, it gives me some baseline, fundamental understanding of how the markets work and, macroeconomics and things of that nature. But those are things that you can really kind of learn, watching CNN, read the Wall Street Journal. So a lot of the things that I learned in school is like, well, are really formula driven. I mean, the real world, you're not really working out too many formulas. I mean, there's not there's very few jobs where you're actually working out when using one of those math formulas that we learned in math class or even biology or something like that. So a lot of, I don't want to call it a waste, but it can be very wasteful if you're not using, it's not being channeled in the right direction. Those guys that had those internships that were, utilizing and applying that information, getting that real world experience,
Yep.
They had a leg up. So when I get out and, fall into, financial services world, I'm just like really just trying to figure it out. I'm
Right.
just, really praying that, hey, Lord, I need this to work because I really ain't got nothing else.
Right. And I mean, you mentioned a great point, because experience is your best teacher, right? So like they in those books, they're teaching you these formulas, they're teaching you the definitions, and most of the time you're remembering it for the test.
Absolutely.
But when you actually have to get out and you actually have to talk to people, you have to actually have to understand their portfolio, you have to understand their market. There's nothing in that book that's going to teach you anything about that. Like like one of my favorite Jay-Z quotes is how they asked him about how he felt so confident when going into all these big rooms and all these big conferences, and he said they read a bunch of books, but I lived a bunch of life. So life is going to be your best teacher in anything that you can ever accomplish, because it's going to teach you everything that you need to know about how to deal with people. Because I'm in corporate and in sales and things of that nature, and that was one of my biggest things that I had to learn is you're not dealing with companies, you're dealing with people. And on the other end of that business is a person, and you have to learn how to channel that energy and be able to interact with that person. So the experience is invaluable.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when I first started and kind of got into financial service, I had the guy who was OG in the business, had been very successful. He said, "Look, I want you to remember one thing: stories sell, brochures tell. Anybody can read a brochure, can read a book, can digest the information. But being able to relay that information to a person and actually show them how to apply it, and basically tell it to them in a story format where it hits them and strikes a nerve, and actually strikes one of those heartstrings." That's a gift, so not a lot of people can do that. So I would tell people, it's a lot of guys that can, great from an analytical standpoint, and they can, calculate the formula, but it's not many people that know how to go out and sell that formula to a company and actually get them to buy it.
Right.
Those are guys that are unique, there's a lot of people that can, a lot of engineers behind the scenes who can come up with how to design the cars, but somebody got to sell them. So, that's a acquired skill set that not many people have. It's really a lost art. Sales is one of those things that if you learn how to sell, you can really sell anything. I mean,
you can do anything.
It's crazy nowadays. I believe that the average person, because of access to information and technology, is probably better at analyzing stocks and bonds than most financial advisors.
Okay.
Because it's that people have the assumption that if you're a financial advisor, you're the most analytical person out there, and really that's not the job.
Gotcha.
My job is not to be an analyst. My job is to build a plan that creates success and get you to move and take action. That's really the core of my job. I can show you the best portfolio out there, but if I can't convince you to take action, then it doesn't really matter. So I tell people all the time, I probably only met 2 or 3 good financial advisors in my life. They look at me like, man, wow, like, that sounds kind of strange, because I mean, it's a bunch of advisors, all these companies run around, like, that's managing all this money, like, so they're not really good. I'm like, honestly, not really, because most guys, they don't understand the business. So, I tell people, and that a lot of people think they know what a financial advisor does, but they don't really understand it. I tell you, really, you come in contact with 3 different people. You come in contact with a salesman. You come in contact with somebody who's an analyst, or you come in contact with somebody who just has access to financial opportunities. All those people call themselves financial advisors.
Right.
But which one do you need to work with?
Right.
The average person doesn't really know who they to work with, because all those people call themselves financial advisors. So being able to evaluate, the gift is being able to have the right opportunities, being able to, be somewhat of an analyst, because I do have to have that skill set to go along with my job, but actually being able to take that information, that access to opportunity, and actually convey it to a person in a way that they understand and meets them where they are, so they can take action and improve their personal position. Right. Outside of that, you have a lot of guys running around talking big, but not really making a lot of impact.
Right. Because I mean, basically, if that person isn't at the place that they need to be to make that step, then if you don't close that gap to the point of if you don't close that gap, then they're still going to be in the same place they were, because they're not going to take an action. And you can tell,
most of them are talking over your head. They like to, talking big words, use all these elaborate terms. And, I keep it real simple. I tell people all the time, if you don't understand it, don't do it.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with saying no. You want to make sure that, not to the point where you don't do anything, because of course, sometimes we can be paralyzed by fear of the
Right.
unknown. We
Right.
have a big problem with that in our community just because we're not as informed and not used to, investing in certain things. So, it's new to us. So it, kind of scares us a little bit.
Right.
But, taking that first step is always the biggest key. Because once you kind of get involved in something, you realize it's really not that difficult. It's really not that much to this.
Right.
And you can really learn on the fly. Like you said, Jay-Z said at the beginning, experience was his best teacher.
Yep. So I do want to hit on what are some of the key things that you do think that we are not understanding as a community, as a Black community, that we probably should from an investment standpoint?
Well, man, that's a big question. I can say a lot about that. I said the biggest thing is that Rome wasn't built in a day. Right now, you have a lot of people seeking information. I would say that's a great thing. But the first thing I say is Google don't fact check. Right now, Google is our best friend. So the first thing we go to is, well, I saw on Google it said this. Well, you shouldn't invest in that. Or you shouldn't do this. I'm like, well, Google's not fact checking. The next thing is we have too much water cooler talk.
Okay.
Everybody's talking to, someone at their job or a cousin, a family friend about what should they invest in, how should they invest in. We don't understand the value of professionalism. We don't understand the value that a professional brings to the table.
Right.
In my job, the biggest thing that I do for clients is save them from themselves. That's probably the number one thing that I do, because I understand how to digest the information, but also I understand you, being able to read a person and understand their strengths and weaknesses. So when I build a financial plan for someone, I'm tailoring that plan to you. A lot of advisors make the mistake of, you go to them and they say, well, you tell them, well, I want to retire at 55. I want an income of $100,000 a year. And they say, oh, well, you should save, $3,000 a month. But like, okay, but you look at them like, well, that don't work in my budget right now.
Right.
I'm not making enough to do that.
Right.
So they are bringing you information that technically you asked for, but at the same time, they're not understanding where you are and how to take you and use what you have currently, get you started moving in the right direction, and show you how to cultivate that into where you want to be in the future.
Right.
So they're trying to make you fit into, their system versus creating a system around you.
Right. They're plugging those numbers into that formula. You said this is what you need to do that.
Exactly.
And instead of having the conversation with you, understanding what your goals are, and then helping you get closer to that point of, okay, well, hey, maybe you need to start right here, and then we're going to gradually get you to where you need to be to get that lifestyle that you want at that point.
And I said, another thing is we have a lot of misconceptions because there's been a lot of misinformation. We've had a lot of systematic damage done to us when it comes to understanding, what is insurance? How is insurance really used? How can it be used? What is the stock market truly designed to do? Like, most people don't realize the stock market was really designed to get you a consistent 8% return. It wasn't designed to be an overnight success. It wasn't designed for you to double your money, in 2 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean that those things don't happen.
Right.
But from a realistic standpoint, it's really only designed to get you 8%.
Right.
So most people have that ideology of, okay, man, I heard about so-and-so, man, they dumped their money in and they tripled it, next week. Or, man, I heard what happened with Bitcoin, or I heard what happened with AMC or GameStop. And, I'm looking for that next. I'm like, those are one-offs. Those things are not the norm. Like I said, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But the hardest thing for someone to do is create a disciplined habit. But that's what you actually need to create success.
Right.
But that's the one thing that people have. We have this, obsession in our community of wanting right now. We don't really understand the art of delayed gratification.
And I think that's a big thing. You bring up a good point, because in our community, what's happening right now is people are getting interested in investing, but they're not really getting interested in investing. They're looking at it as another way to gamble. So when you bring up, when you hear about, AMC or GameStop or, Bitcoin, how can I get, I have people hit me up all the time, hey, how can I, double this money or triple this money? I'm trying to become a millionaire in a year. Like, no, that's not how it works. You may be able to catch some of those. You may be able to look up and get in quick because you're just paying attention to certain things, but that's not how it typically works. People need to understand how they need one thing, and I always bring everything back to sales, like just understanding how to get base hits or football. Like, hey, you get 4 yards every time, and you're gonna get a first down. You keep the chains moving, and people want to get that Hail Mary. People want to get that home run hit. instead of just taking their time and understanding the principles of, hey, I'm going to save, if it's for this person, $100. I'm not necessarily save, but I'm going to invest, because we got to get the investing principles. I'm going to invest $100 in the market every month, or I'm going to invest $200, whatever that start point for you may be. Figure that out and consistently do it. So
well, it comes back to, like I said, creating a plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing we don't want to do, and that's the value of having a professional advisor. And a lot of that, part of that is somebody to hold you accountable.
Yep.
We don't want to be held accountable in a
Yep.
lot of ways. We want to say, well, I want to, I want to lose 10 pounds. We're like,
Yep.
okay, you want to lose 10 pounds until you see the Krispy Kreme hot sign on,
Right.
and all of a sudden you
Right.
just forgot that you want to lose 10 pounds. You want to grab a donut. It's the same thing when it comes to investing. It's like, well, I want to invest some money, but I just saw a new pair of J's I want to grab.
Right.
Or I just saw, these red bottoms. I just saw this new Louis bag. Or I just saw this. So it's like, how bad do you really want to be successful? We have to make those decisions, to put ourselves in a better position. And the crazy thing about it is that most people are doing enough to get where they want to be. The money just being mismanaged and going into opportunities that don't maximize their results.
Right.
So, it's, I have a lot of, studies and things that I look at and see all the time, and that, people don't understand the value of having a financial advisor. Right. There have been studies that have shown that Vanguard has done that, a person that has a financial advisor and has that disciplined approach and access to information, they on average do 3% better than someone that doesn't. Mm. And they've done a deeper study. Someone like me, like I'm a fiduciary advisor, I'm not a broker. So basically, I don't sell for a commission. I'm legally liable for everything that I do. So I'm legally liable to make sure I do what's in your best interest at all times. So that's how I operate. So for me, that actually is on average, it's a 6% difference from you doing it yourself versus working with somebody like me that's actually a fiduciary that doesn't charge commission, that's making sure we get, the lowest fee possible, making sure you got a diversified portfolio, that's actually responsible for telling you no. Someone comes to me and says, hey, you know what, I want to invest in XYZ. Well, I have a legal responsibility to say, I don't think that's in your best interest. If you're working with a broker, someone who just sells, we call A-share mutual funds at like Edward Jones or, these type of places, or Primerica or something, they're just selling you something. Right. And if you go to them, most people don't realize, if you go to them and say, I want to buy XYZ mutual fund or XYZ stock, well, they can sell it to you, and that's now called what's called an unsolicited transaction. It doesn't matter what happened, good, bad, or different. They're not liable for that. Right. Whereas for me, I'm liable for the things that I do with all of my clients. So I have skin in the game. So I have to make sure that I'm operating at a certain level to make sure that, these things are good decisions. Now, that doesn't mean that everything we do is going to make money, because the market obviously goes up and down and no one has complete control over it. But I have to make sure, and I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure I evaluate your entire situation to make sure that we're looking at everything going on and we're assessing it and making sure we're putting you in the best position possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and I do want that actually brings me to, kind of how you got into this career. Like, what made you start your own wealth management firm versus going to the Edward Jones or the Primerica or whatever other company?
Honestly, I looked around and I saw nobody like me doing what I thought we should be doing. All those companies, I've had opportunities to work. I've had offers to work at the Merrill Lynch's and Morgan Stanley's and things of the nature. But at the end of the day, there's no African-American firm that's representing us. Right. We're new money. We're first generation. Our parents, like I said, my mom's from Wilcox County. My dad's from, like I said, Tulane Court right there in the gum. So, they're first generation making it from, the fields in the project. So, they've done well for themselves individually as far as getting a chance to get education, go to college and whatnot. But nobody was there to educate them on, Mom, Dad, you're making good money now. Dad, you got a nice home, you drive nice cars, you're saving money. But if my dad would have knew how to invest, he would have, retired with, probably $1 million. If he just knew how, because he knew how to save. Yeah. He didn't spend no money on nothing. You know what I'm saying? He knew how to save the money because it came from nothing. So he would save it, but nobody was there saying, hey, you know what, Coach Hamp, you've done a good job saving this money, but all this extra money you got sitting on the sideline over here, if you put that in the stock market, it could be double and triple. And over the course of 20, 30 years, he's in a totally different financial situation. Right. So that's where we are from a community standpoint. Now, our generation, my generation, your generation, we're a lot more forward thinking. So we're having those conversations because we've had a chance to watch. Well, all the financial firms that are out there have been around for, probably 100 years. They're working with other communities that are in a totally different financial position. Mm-hmm. So the advice that they give is tailored to their community. Yep. We're not in that position. So I equate it to like the, our athletes, guys that we know who made it to the league, and our community, if someone mismanages their money, it hits us differently.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, not even just athletes, but successful entrepreneurs and business
Mm-hmm.
owners, lawyers, doctors, whatever, because usually when we make it, we're taking care of a lot of different people.
Right.
There's a lot on us. So if we
Mm-hmm.
make a mistake, it's a lot of the people behind us dependent on us that now don't get those same opportunities.
Right.
Where in their communities, if they mismanage their money, well, they're just that one individual.
Right.
They have trust, they have,
Right.
estate planning, they have money being passed down, they have
Right.
grandparents that are paying for, grandkids to go to college. So if one person makes a mistake on their side and makes a bad investment, it doesn't cripple the entire family.
Right.
In
Or I
our
think it even a step
situation,
further. If they mess up, then they got somebody that can pull them right back up to get back on. And we don't have
absolutely.
that.
We don't have that. So for me, I believe in being a change you want to see. Don't speak about it, be about it. So when I looked around, I didn't see African American firm that represented us, especially doing it at a high level. So I said, well, you know what? If it ain't been done yet, it just makes me to do it. So I jumped out there on faith, and I've been moving ever since, and just kind of growing, expanding. But for me, it's about doing things the right way. I don't believe in just doing things just to do it. A lot of people, are motivated by money. That don't mean I don't want to make money, but money is not my ultimate decision maker. My decision making is based on, where I want my company and where I want things to be. I have 3 sons, so I'm trying to create a legacy. I'm trying to create an entity. And one of the biggest things that affects our community, in my opinion, is that we have lack of ownership.
Right.
So we sell out a lot of times. We sell out for the bag. Of course, all of us like Jay-Z music, but I'm not a huge fan. He's been wildly successful from a business standpoint. And what I'm going to say, a lot of people may not agree with, but, although I understand what he does from a business standpoint, as far as he's great at making money, but when you give up ownership, a lot of people look at what Jay-Z made when he sold, his liquor brand, right? He came up 350 million. Great. Don't knock the hustle. Yeah, we all wish we had it. But at the same time, have we seen what happened to Louis Vuitton Hennessy Moet? The guy who owns that has become the richest person in the world in the last 6-8 months. Why? Because he purchased Jay-Z, and he also, made some other ownership change. So now for me, I'm looking at it, well, I want the ownership because now I can hire your kids. We're always in positions where, we grow and we work for these great companies, and, we're bringing our market share to them. So what happens is you come work for me. You're doing great at Powerhouse. I got closing the gap. I said, man, you know what? You making, $1,000 a week. I said, man, look, come over to me. I'll pay you $2,000. But what you don't know is I'm making $10,000.
Right.
You bring your market share and your audience to me.
Right.
I'm paying you, double, but I'm making double. So we didn't close a gap there. There's no bridging there. So we look at the wealth gap in this, in this world, in this country, from African Americans and everybody else. Well, we have a lack of ownership, so we don't have the power to make any decisions. So I want to be able to, say, you know what? Hey, man, you know what? Hey, Fred, man, your daughter, son, and they want to be a financial advisor. Give me a call. I want to start them at the top. I want to start them at that position that we shoot for when we come out of college. And we got to start in the mailroom making 30, 35. Whereas the other kids that are coming out, they got moms, dads, uncles, aunties. They can call in a favor, and they go right to their position where they start out at 150.
Right.
Well, automatically, their ceiling automatically becomes higher, and their earning power and total financial position becomes different. But because we have no ownership over anything, we're always asking for an opportunity.
Right.
So at some point in time, we have to own the entities. We have to own the financial advisor firms. We have to own the law firm, the doctor's offices, all these different places. I believe that African Americans, we need to own a company in every industry in America. And we need to support those companies, because if we support the people that look like us, then we can now hire the people that look like us. We have total decision-making power. Because we don't own the companies, we're always in a situation where we hope someone gives us a handout. We hope we get the job. We hope we get the opportunity. So, I know a lot of intelligent people that should be doing a whole lot better than what they are, but, life is all about opportunities. A lot of people tell me all the time, oh, man, I see what you're doing. Keep working hard. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I've been working hard my whole life.
Right.
I know I'm prepared. I know I've been working hard.
Right.
What I need is the opportunity to be successful. What I need is people that look like me to rock with me. I don't worry about people that don't look like me. The people that don't look like me ain't trying to see me do what I'm doing anyway.
Right.
But the people that do look like me, I focus on them. So I get in my feelings more so about when I see someone that looks like me working with somebody else versus working with someone that looks like them, because what you're telling me is you're almost devaluing your kids.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to go back to them same people, and you sending their kids to college. You sending their kids in buying their vacation homes and second homes. And we look back and like, well, why do we have any wealth in our communities? Why do our communities fail? And why can't we get any funding? Well, we ain't got no money. We ain't got no
Right.
ownership.
Right. And the more ownership we retain is the more power that we have. Because
Exactly.
if you retain the ownership, then you have the opportunity to put other people in position, and you also have the opportunity to leave things for your family. So
Absolutely.
that's huge in just in the standpoint of preparing for the future, and like you said, closing that wealth gap. And that's how you do it, is by creating those opportunities. Because you talked about it, you know, having to come out and ask for a job or ask for an opportunity versus creating opportunity. I always tell, people, when they don't see the opportunity that they want, or they're not get that those doors are closing, just go start your own. Just go figure it out yourself.
Absolutely.
Create the things that you want to see.
Well, it's understanding ownership, but also we don't understand money. So I asked a group of people one time. I said, would you rather work for a company and get a salary of $500,000, or would you rather own the company and you make $400,000? Well, I was like, well, I'd rather work for a company and make $500,000. I'm like, well, so you don't know math. And the biggest thing, you don't understand our tax code, because
right.
If you work for an employer, that means your tax breaks are going to be limited.
Yep.
So you tax at the highest rate. So you're going to walk away hopefully with maybe 325, 350 at best.
Yep.
At the end of the year.
Yep.
Whereas if I make 400 as a business owner, I can get with my accountant, CPA, and I can work that thing out. Well, I'm gonna see all 400.
Yep.
Because the tax code is written for employers,
yep.
not employees. So I'm going to be able to take advantage of everything. I can buy a car. You can
yep.
lease a car. It's a write-off. So everything that you do as a business owner, if done correctly with the proper information,
correct,
you can make it advantageous. So I can make 400. So I'm clearing at the end of the day, my net that hits my hand is far greater than yours. Yep. But at the same time, the biggest thing that I have is ownership.
Yep.
So my company is growing from an equity standpoint. So now if I'm ready to retire, okay, if I want to, I can sell my company for millions of dollars at that particular point in time. Or guess what? I got 3 sons. You know what? I could break up my 400,000 that I'm making, and I'll give it to them. Now they start off, 133 a piece, fresh out of college, taking over my company. Well, it's a great start for someone getting out of college, and hopefully we can continue to build that and then perpetuate it.
Yep, and even from that standpoint, just think about it from the growth opportunity. You said the job gives you 500,000, right? The business gives you 400,000. The growth opportunity is up to you on how you figure out how to innovate, how to grow that, how to grow it to where you want it to be. Versus the 500,000, there's a cap on that. You're only going to make whatever they allow you to make, and whatever they give you, basically. So the 400,000 can grow into whatever you want it to be. And then the second part of that is, from the tax standpoint, is you as an employee, you pay your expenses after they hit you with the taxes. As an employer, you pay your expenses and then you get taxed.
Absolutely.
So that's a cheat code that a lot of people don't understand, is that just understanding how to understand the business. And when you come from being a business owner to just strictly an employee, it's a big difference. And I think that's big. That's something that people have to understand. And then the other thing that people have to understand is, you don't have to only be, if you like your job, whatever it may be, then you still can take advantage of becoming a business owner or investor or whatever it may be. And it's just understanding the ownership purposes of owning whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of, I believe that we all got to get back to finding our gift. I believe everybody's born with a gift. But you got to find out what that gift is. So it's like, I feel like once you find out what that gift is and you start operating that gift, and everything you want to dream about, it'll automatically start to come to you. That means it's going to happen overnight. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But, when I was operating outside of my gift, I wasn't as blessed as I am once I started working. So I can tell. I can tell early in my career, when I started off as a financial advisor, and I would start falling over into other avenues, and I would fall over more into real estate more. I would fall into other things. And I'm like, well, and I wasn't focusing on what God had purposed me to do, doors started to close. But when I would refocus on saying, okay, let me just work on being the best financial advisor I could probably be. Let me work on, teaching my community how to create generational wealth. Let me focus on growing what I know I'm destined to do. Well, all of a sudden, things started to turn around, and all the other opportunities, they started to come. So it's because a lot of people ask me all the time, well, you love to invest, and of course, you're a financial advisor by trade. Do you believe in real estate? Well, of course. I believe in anything that could be profitable that's legal.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with being involved in different areas of entrepreneurship. The problem is we can be too much of a jack of all trade and master of none. So I have I don't say issue, but I see it a lot with us where, someone will have a professional career and they're doing 5 things on the side to help make extra money. And I'm like, well, that's probably your biggest problem. You need to focus and become a specialist at whatever it is whatever pays your mortgage. I'm like, that's what you do. You need to become the best at that first.
Right.
Once you do that, other opportunities will start to present themselves because you're spreading yourself too thin. Is one of the things I learned earlier. The business guy told me. He said, Wilbert, does a general doctor make more than a heart surgeon? I was like, no. He's like, why? He said, because the heart surgeon has a specialty.
Right.
Does a mechanical engineer make more than a general just everyday? Yes. Anybody who has a specialty gets paid more than someone who's a general practitioner.
Right.
The problem with us is we've become so lazy in ways that we don't want to go the extra mile to become that specialist in our given area. Like, we want to be an accountant, but not the CPA. Like, we don't want to go take the full process of becoming, well, I don't want to take the test. So I don't want to do this. I don't want to. I'm like, well, it's the reason why that CPA can work with half the clients to make 3 times the money.
Right.
Because they went the extra mile.
Right.
It's the reason why, those things, happen. So, those are things I just, for our community, I want us to get back, because once we start valuing professionalism, then we'll start to value each other's time more. And then that automatically helps us, as a community, start looking at each other differently.
Right.
We have a big problem with not understanding professionalism because we hadn't worked with a lot of professionals. So it's like we have this, Primerica runs rampant in our community. Why?
Yeah.
They run around and, teachers, mechanics, and everybody else. Oh, well, you can make some extra money on the side selling insurance.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, when none of those people actually understand insurance, anytime someone says, before you talk to anyone, if they say you should buy this and they don't know your situation, they're selling you. They don't really understand. That goes for investments. If an advisor comes and says, well, I got the best investment possible, but I don't know your situation, we're trying to sell you.
Yeah.
One product is the best product out there. All of them have a purpose. So you need to work with someone who's an actual financial advisor, financial planner, who can actually build a plan around you and show you, well, your situation whole life may be better, and your situation term may be better. Your situation mutual funds may be better. Your situation stocks may be better. So all of them have a place and a purpose, but we work with too many, fly by night, individuals that, really hurt us more than they help us.
Yep. And now that you said it, in a sense, and I want to know if you agree with it, that somewhat has set us back because of the stigmas that you get from people that come to our communities and try to, like you just said, sell us insurance, sell us this.
Absolutely.
You get your grandma or your mother has a bad experience with somebody from just Primerica. I don't know if anybody's watching that sells Primerica, but from Primerica, right? And then they had a bad experience, and now I don't invest money because I lost all my money when I invested money with this guy. And now they're teaching their kids this. Now they're teaching their nieces and nephews, hey, I don't invest. Just put your money in the bank, baby, and just keep it there. So now it keeps setting us back when you, like you just said, from a professional standpoint, you're not dealing. So for one, you're either not seeing people that look like you that are doing it, so you don't trust them. And then the second part is, okay, now you have these people that are not specialists trying to sell you something. You had a bad experience, and now you don't want to invest. So it's twofold. Absolutely. And it's hurting our community because they don't get the right advice, and then they go in the wrong direction.
And you said, I said the key word, people always ask me, like, what is, like, for me, of course, I got my podcast, Closing the Gap or whatever. So people always ask me, so what do we need to do to close the gap? Like, how do we close the gap? What is the investment formula around it? I'm like, there's no such thing as investment formula. The solve the equation is trust. Like, giving your example, we don't understand the systematic damage that was really done. So when, we originally came out of slavery and we started to have a little bit of something, our banks were systematically destroyed in this country by, not being backed to properly the way they were supposed to be, and things not being done and taken advantage of. The insurance companies told their advisors and those insurance agents not to sell valuable life insurance policies to African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they did that because they knew that would start to transfer some wealth to the next generation and give
Right.
them a head start. So
Right.
what we learned about insurance is burial policies. We learned about the Liberty National type people that
Right.
come by the house once a week. Mama leave a little money in the mailbox, they grab it and keep moving. So we understand just those $5,000-$10,000 burial policies. I'm like, well, that's not insurance. Insurance is actually the most tax efficient vehicle ever created.
Yep.
But we don't really understand the way it was designed to use and why large banks in the United States of America buy more permanent life insurance than anybody else. But we don't understand. We think like, well, that's just some money in case I die. I'm like, it's a lot more than that, but you have to understand how to properly utilize it.
Yep.
And anything that's not utilized properly can be mismanaged. So people relate opportunities to their experiences. So I met people that got in the market in 2007 and experienced 2008. Like, man, this is terrible. This doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, you just had a bad experience.
Right.
But then I know people who got into 2009 until now, they're like, man, this is the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
It's just, it's been amazing.
Right.
It's all relative to your situation.
Right.
So it wasn't nothing wrong with the stock market. The problem was you met someone who probably put you in too much of a volatile position and just did a bad job for you. It's not the product. So annuities are not bad. Mutual funds are not bad. Term is not bad. Whole life is not, none of these things are bad. But any of these things placed in the wrong position can be detrimental to you from a financial standpoint. So that's why it's imperative in our community to start to, as we learn about these different products, start to understand who we're talking to. Because most of the people we're talking to are really just salesmen for a company. And, if a person works for an insurance company, well, guess what they're going to do? Their job is to sell insurance. If a person works for an investment company, the Maryland's, Morgan Stanley, well, their job is to sell investments. So both of those people are going to be coming at you doing the same thing, but just with two totally different angles. Right. One is pushing one thing, one is pushing another. Neither one are looking at your total financial picture saying, you know what, this is how you should build your financial plan. So for me, that's kind of where, I saw the gap in our community. And obviously, apart from obviously there being no Black-owned investment firms as well, wanting to kind of bridge that gap and be a place where we can get legitimate, consistent, solid information completely tailored to us individually to start to have some success and start to grow that wealth and try to close the gap.
Perfect. Well, I know we're coming up on the end, but I do want to leave you. You gave us some good parting words, but I want to, let the people know how they can get in contact with you, and then just anything else that you want to, because I know you want to help close the gap in our community. So just give anything else, any other advice that you would want to give.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Well, I mean, they can find me, of course, right on IG, Facebook, Wilbert Hamilton Jr. I'm on IG, Wilbert Hamilton on Facebook. Website is HamiltonWealthADV.com. So you can just Google, Hamilton Wealth Advisor. I'm pretty sure the website information will pull up. For us, I'm all about giving out information. So for me, I want to be a resource. So, I'll talk to anyone. I'll help anyone. For me, I believe in sharing as much as I possibly can. I don't believe in hoarding information, because if I tell you something, even if you're not in a position to take advantage of it, if you go tell somebody else and it benefits them, that's what we all about. So, if you're looking, free consultations, free information, give us a shout. We got advisors, of course, Birmingham, Atlanta, different places where we'd be more than happy to help, anyone we possibly can. There's some good information on our website that you can kind of download. You got access, there's a link to our podcast, Closing the Gap, that we mentioned. We talk a lot of different topics, kind of like what we did tonight. And just trying to educate, man, doing the same thing you're doing, but just, actually need to kind of flip this and get you to come on one day.
I'm down. I'm down.
But our job, like, man, we just want to be a blessing, man. I believe we're all blessed to be a blessing. And, I'm a firm believer, and I guess we can rock out on this one. But if you receive what you think is a blessing and it's only beneficial to you, then I don't think it's a blessing from God. Because I think, we don't realize that the devil can bless us with worldly possessions. And he does that a lot to keep us stuck and stagnant in our same position. God only gives blessings that will be blessings, not just to you, but the people around you. So if you get something that's only for you, I would question that, but, if it's a blessing from God, it's going to be a blessing, not just to yourself, but those around you. So if you've been blessed with a gift, I believe it's for you to share it.
I love it. Love it. Love it. So as we close out, man, I appreciate you coming on. Season 2 kicking off. Next week we have Brandon Terrell, also from Montgomery,
Oh yeah, I know B-Terrell.
coming on. So we have him coming on next week. I want to make sure I tell everybody donate to Books for the Block. We opened up our second location. I'll be in Montgomery this weekend. We're opening up the second location at Rashad Provit's Provit Print. So we have Books for the Block. So everybody donate books. Just make sure you follow me. Be tuning in next week, and I'll announce the next guest. Thanks.
All right. Take it easy. Appreciate you.
Bye.